First, let's start with this case. Years ago, I was in love. I truly thought I had found the person I was going to spend my life with. My ex-girlfriend and I had been together for 4 years, and I was ready to propose. Then she cheated on me, not just a one-time mistake. She had been seeing another guy for months behind my back, and when I found out, she dumped me. Her. I didn't want to hurt you, but I've fallen in love with someone else. That someone else was her coworker. Within a year, they were married. She moved on instantly while I was left picking up the pieces of my life. It took me a long time to heal, but eventually I did. I hadn't heard from her in years, until a few months ago, when I got a message out of nowhere. "Hey, I know it's been a long time, but I really need to talk to you. Please, it's important." I ignored it at first. What could she possibly want? But then she kept calling, texting, even messaging me on social media. Finally, out of curiosity, I answered. "What do you want?" Her voice was shaky, desperate. I need a kidney." I was stunned. "What?" Her. "I have kidney failure. I need a transplant. And I was tested to see if any of my family members were a match. None of them are. But you might be." I just sat there, speechless. After all these years, after everything she did, she actually thought I'd give her a part of my body? "Why are you asking me? Ask your husband." Silent. Then I realized, oh, he already said no, didn't he? I could almost hear her trying to hold back tears. He's not a match. That's not what I asked." She didn't answer. I laughed. I couldn't help it. "Me? You left me for this guy and he won't even give you a kidney? That's rough. I know I hurt you, but we were so close once. Please help me." I felt zero sympathy. "You didn't care about me when you were sneaking around with him. You didn't care when you left me like I was nothing. So now I don't care about you." I hung up and blocked her. Later, I found out from a mutual friend that she had reached out to dozens of people. Old friends, exes, distant relatives, and no one wanted to help her. She had burned too many bridges. Now she's on the organ donor wait list, hoping for a match. And I feel nothing. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. She cheated on you, discarded you like trash, and only remembered you when she needed something. Actions have consequences. Her husband won't help her, her family won't help her. Why should you? You're not in the wrong. Organ donation is a huge deal. It's a major surgery with risks. No one is entitled to your organs, especially not someone who betrayed you. The fact that she came to you only after everyone else said no is telling. You're not in the wrong. It's funny how "we were so close once" only matters when she needs something from you. Where was that closeness when she was sneaking around behind your back? Let her deal with the consequences of her choices. Next up, my sister and I were always close, until she got engaged and suddenly turned into a full-blown bridezilla. At first, I was excited for her. I helped with planning, went to dress fittings, and even agreed to pitch in for her honeymoon because her fiancé was between jobs. She and I had always had a good relationship, so I didn't think twice when she asked for help. I was going to cover a significant portion of their trip. It wasn't cheap, but she was my sister, and I wanted to support her. Then, a few weeks before the wedding, she called me with some news. "Hey, so we had to make some changes to the guest list." I already knew where this was going. "What kind of changes?" "Well, we decided to have a more intimate event. And you're not invited anymore." I felt like I had been slapped in the face. "Are you serious? Look, it's not personal. It's just that fiancé's family had some concerns, and we had to make some tough decisions." Me. "Let me get this straight. You want me to pay for your honeymoon, but I'm not good enough to be at your wedding?" "It's not like that. We still want you to be part of everything, just not the ceremony." "No thanks." I hung up and immediately canceled the payment I had set up for her honeymoon. A few hours later, my phone blew up. "Sister, you're ruining my special trip. We already made reservations." Me. "Not my problem. Maybe your in-laws can pitch in." She cried, screamed, tried to guilt-trip me, and even had my mom call to tell me I was being spiteful. "She's your sister. Can't you just let this go?" Me. "She uninvited me from her wedding because her in-laws don't like me. I'm not paying for a damn thing." Long story short, they had to downgrade to a cheap road trip instead of the fancy honeymoon they planned. The best part? Her in-laws still treated her like trash, even though she bent over backward for them. Now, months later, she's suddenly begging to reconcile. Too bad, I'm enjoying my own vacation instead. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. She had no problem taking your money while simultaneously cutting you out of the most important day of her life. If you weren't good enough to be at her wedding, why should your money be good enough to fund her honeymoon? She made her choice. Let her live with it. You're not in the wrong. I love how family is everything when they need cash, but not when it comes to actual respect. She chose her in-laws over you, and still lost. That's on her. You're not in the wrong. This is next-level entitlement. She wanted your money, but not your presence? Nope. You did the right thing. If anything, you should have canceled the payment while on the phone with her, just for the satisfaction. Next up, a few months ago, my jobless cousin begged me to let her stay with me for a few weeks, while she got back on her feet. I wasn't thrilled about it, but I've always been the responsible one in the family, so I figured I could help her out. Big mistake. Before she moved in, I set clear rules. No guests, no parties, and respect my space. If you can follow those, you can stay. She agreed. Said she just needed some time to figure things out. At first, things were fine. She was messy, but I could deal with that. What I couldn't deal with was her zero effort to find a job. She spent most of her time scrolling on her phone, complaining about how hard life was, and talking about how she just needed the right opportunity. Then came the disaster weekend. I had to leave town for a work trip. Before I left, I reminded her no guests. She swore up and down she'd be responsible. I got back Sunday night and walked into a nightmare. The place reeked of alcohol and smoke. There were empty bottles everywhere. My couch had a huge stain on it. Someone had broken one of my dining chairs. And the worst part? Strangers had been sleeping in my bed. I was livid. The moment I saw her, I let loose. What the hell happened here? She laughed. Relax. It was just one night. We had a little get-together, that's all. Me, a little get-together? My place looks like a frat house after a bender. There were people in my bed. She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. You're overreacting. Everything's fine. Get out now. Her face dropped. Wait, what? You're kicking me out? Me, damn right I am. Pack your stuff and go. She tried to argue. Said she had nowhere to go. Said I was being unfair over one mistake. I didn't care. She called our family, expecting them to take her side. It backfired spectacularly. Once they found out what she did, no one wanted to take her in. Now, she's living in a dingy motel, still blaming me for her problems. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. The audacity of laughing in your face after destroying your home is insane. She thought she could walk all over you, and now she's facing real consequences. Not your problem. You're not in the wrong. You did her a favor, set clear boundaries, and she spit in your face. The fact that even your family refused to take her in tells you everything you need to know. She burned every bridge. Everyone sucks. She's obviously the bigger problem, but if you had checked in or set up cameras, you could have stopped this before it got so bad. Next time, be more cautious about who you let into your home. Next up, my brother is an absolute menace behind the wheel. He's totaled 3 cars already. Not because of bad luck, all because of his own reckless driving. Speeding, running red lights, tailgating, acting like he's in a Fast and Furious movie. And every single time, he acts like it's not his fault. When his last car got impounded, I knew it was only a matter of time before he came to bother me. Sure enough, one day he showed up at my place, acting all casual. Hey, so I was thinking, since you barely use your car, maybe I could borrow it for a while. No, his face immediately twisted in frustration. Why not? It's just sitting there. Me, because I actually like my car in one piece. He flipped out. You're being ridiculous. I need to get to work. What am I supposed to do? Take the bus like a loser? Sounds like a you problem. He called our mom, complaining that I was being selfish and hoarding resources. Honey, he really needs a car to get around. Can't you just help your brother? Me, did he tell you how his last car got impounded? She sighed and changed the subject. Even she knew he was reckless. That night, I caught him trying to steal my keys. He must have thought I was asleep because I heard him sneaking around my apartment. But I had already hidden my keys. The next morning, he acted like nothing happened. I didn't even bother confronting him. Instead of arguing, I just let natural consequences take over. He had to take public transport for months until he finally saved enough to buy a beat-up old clunker. The best part? He got pulled over for reckless driving in that too. Now he has a suspended license, and I still have my perfectly intact car. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. Your brother has proven over and over that he cannot be trusted behind the wheel. He's lucky he hasn't killed someone yet. If he doesn't respect his own safety, that's on him. But you were absolutely right to protect your car and everyone else on the road. You're not in the wrong. The fact that he tried to steal your keys just proves he never had any intention of being responsible. You made the right call. Now he has a suspended license? Seems like you just saved your own car from becoming wreck number 4. You're not in the wrong. This guy doesn't need another car. He needs a permanent bus pass. You did him a favor by forcing him to face reality. He was never entitled to your car, and now he's finally dealing with the consequences of his own actions.